Have you guys mastered smiling with your eyes with the mask on? We have to learn how to smile with our eyes now. We have to learn how to flex our eyes.
Right. Eye
I
language.
could feel it. Flex his eyes and just reminded me, when I'm out, I like flex my eyes, like say hello or things like that.
Yeah,
The
Kendall,
mask
my,
around.
my my youngest had just walked by, so I was giving her the, like you said, the eye smile while I was still doing this. Was
Hmm.
like, but yeah, we're officially live on YouTube, B. So I'll let you bring us in it as you normally do on this beautiful Sunday.
Oh man, it is, man. Sun's not out too much, but it's still a beautiful day. We're here. We're blessed. This is the Global Empowerment Team, and we want to thank the audience for pulling away from the NFC Championship today. The
Oh,
NFL game is on right now. I don't even know who's playing. Now I know who's playing. Green
You
Bay,
know, you
Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
Two Bay
Right,
Area legends, two Bay
right.
Area legends.
And they are going
yeah.
at it right now. But we want to thank you for taking the time to listen in to our show today. And we anticipate having a lot of value, dropping a lot of boulders and nuggets as we usually do. We have a guest on today that graced us with her presence before, and she was gracious enough to come back. So we were excited about that, and so we're going to dive in a little deeper to one of her other hats that she wears, and kind of talk about what that looks like, and what the opportunity is for you to actually reach out to her and have some networking and business opportunities. But before we get to that, I want to introduce my partner, my co-host, my brother, Khalil Macklin. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Like you said, it's a beautiful Sunday, although it's a little gloomy. Yesterday was really sunny, so I took the kids to San Francisco. We hung out there for several hours. So today is more of a respite day, relaxation and recuperation day. Get ready for tomorrow. But I am excited about our guest today, who we have, Elise Cheek, who we had before, like you said, but we had her on. She wears so many hats. So we have to have her on seriously 3 or 4 more times to really cover the multitude of hats that she wears. But at the time we had her on, she was wearing her Chamber of Commerce hat because she is the president of our Chamber of Commerce, the Solano County Black Chamber of Commerce. And we were talking about different resources that we have for business owners out here in Solano County, some of the different loans that we have that were available to us, that are still available to us. But as I was talking to her recently, I was like, you know what? You've got so many different things going on, from being a trustee to being on the education board to being involved politically and city council and all these different things. She knows from Bill Dodd to Skip Thompson to you. I mean, all these people who are involved politically. Gavin Newsom, she knows them all. She sits down with them, has a seat at the table, and you want to be in the room where it happens. But
The room where it
you
happens.
want to be in the room where it happens, man. But she is the owner of her own construction company. And I think it's amazing because not only is she a minority owner in a construction business that's heavily based as not having opportunities for minorities, but she's also a female, which really there's not many opportunities for females. So you combine that together, but she's making it happen. She's successful. She's doing great things. And we always talk about accessibility, tangibility, and letting people know about some of these success stories. You may hear about a success story in New York and it's not relevant to you. These success stories we're bringing to you are right here in our backyard. These are people who are doing these things right here in our backyard. And I wanted to talk about with Elise her business, what she's doing with it, the growth process of it, the importance of it, her passion behind it, how we can get in contact with her moving forward and see if some of our dreams can come to fruition through her and her process, and just highlight that and showcase that. So that's the purpose of our show, to pay you your homage while you're here still doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
But we
Thank
appreciate you for being here and taking time. But yeah, let's start with the construction business. So first and foremost, what's the name of your construction business? How long has it been? Did you start it, and how did it come about? Your passion. I know some of these stories, but our audience may not. So the name of it, the inception of it, and how the passion for that came about.
So the name of the company is Important Details, Inc. I am a general contractor in Northern California, but I would love to span out to Southern California as well. We've been in business as a C Corp since 2014. And we started the company with some custodial, working with some of the cities, Benicia, Fairfield, and Vallejo, helping with cleaning their city buildings. We grew into general contracting where we start working on residential and commercial businesses, doing construction. Most recently, due to COVID, I found myself in a time where I had to repurpose the company from being a general contractor, site services, because the ideal of the company was we provide everything from A to Z and for your construction needs. If you needed us to put up the drywall, if you needed us to do the taping, clean out, prepare for the construction, we wanted to become a part of all of that. But again, due to COVID-19, we had to repurpose, and some other things that's happened in my life. I have had to repurpose the company. And although we're still a general contractor, one of the things I've been doing, and like you had mentioned, having a seat at the table. So for me, having a seat at the table is 2020 hindsight. Right now, I'm looking at how to make my own table and bringing chairs to the table that other people can sit at my table. So in 2021, that's what I'm looking to do. So I've been meeting with larger construction companies, doing some mentoring with them and finding out what are some of the similar concerns, challenges that we have as construction companies. And one of the major things I found out in speaking to them is finding good labor. Finding someone, once you get the bid, you put all this time in and energy and money and resources into getting a bid like with Caltrans or something like that, but you get the job and then you can't find good labor. So what I've started doing is repurposing my company as a construction management and also a training and development for laborers. Two reasons I did that. One is for the Black and Brown community. First of all, construction career is very lucrative for workers. And I found that Black and Brown young men, women, adults, they don't make it up the streamline in construction for one reason or the other. So that was a gap in construction. So I'm currently developing training curriculum so that I can bring the community together, teach them how to get into the field, partner with larger construction companies to place them into these jobs in large companies, and then work with the construction companies. So I don't know if you know about construction, but if they don't want you, they don't have to do anything with the union. You come in one day, the next day they get your papers, you're gone. You can't do anything about it. But how do we bridge that to where we can figure out how we can keep these young men and women on these jobs so they can go from a laborer to an apprentice to a journeyman to a foreman and eventually to a general contractor and build. One of my passions and the thing that I thought about in construction is if you build something, a building, a hospital, a home, you can always drive by that home and say, I was a part of building that. I was a part of building Kaiser. Although I might have only did the drywall, I did the painting for that building. That's something that you can take pride in, say you was a part of building and growing that. So to that end, I've just started, like I say, looking for the gaps in construction and seeing where I can fill the gaps. And one of the largest thing that all the construction general contractors throughout Northern California have said is that we cannot find good labor. Can you train the labor? And we will contract with you to pull the folks that you train are certified. We will pull them and work with you to make sure they work up through the pipeline in construction.
Great idea. Great idea. I remember you had touched on that a little bit last time. You were kind of identifying where your niche was going to be at in construction. Mm-hmm. And yeah, congratulations on finding that niche. And that you spoke to one thing is that you masterminded with other successful companies to find that out, to navigate where you could add more value to the industry. And so you being able to define that and identify that and then repurpose your company like you did, that's a true vision of a CEO. I mean, that right there is one of the definitions of a CEO, and a successful CEO is being able to recognize the market, recognize the shift that's coming in, recognize a niche that needs to be filled. So I want to touch on that, but I'm gonna come back to that because I don't want to get too far away from the construction aspect of it, because one, you talked about, and Khalil touched on it as well, about it's the opportunity to get into construction, and that there aren't a lot of women who take that opportunity, or it may not be there for a lot of women, or just a lot of women don't take advantage of that situation. And you touched on the fact that it's a very lucrative industry. Um, so one, I want to ask, what is your thoughts on why, why a lot of women don't navigate to construction as a career choice, or a general contractor as a career choice? And then two, what did that process look like for you in getting your construction and general contractors licensing and business structure?
Well, I'll tell you a really interesting story. Once I was speaking, I was asked to speak for a high school here in Solano County, and there were young men and women, 11th and 12th graders, and I think it was career planning for them, and actually, they had all the trades there: the plumbing, the welding, the electrical, and there were men and women, young men and young women in the room, and so it was my turn to get up and talk. And unfortunately, I had my grandson with me because his mother had picked him up. So I got up there to speak in front of the students with my 9-month-old grandson on my hip and start telling a story about how I got into construction. At that time, I was actually wearing a hard hat and boots and tearing down walls myself. So I started talking about it, and all of a sudden, all of these hands raised. The young women say, "You actually do construction?" I didn't know construction was something women could do. I thought that was a man's job. And then I explained to him, no, it's men and women can do construction. And that's like a hidden jewel that's never tapped on, because you automatically think it's a man's job. But there's so many aspects of construction that you can do. It's not only out in the field, but it's building the company from within, making the connections, putting together the contracts, networking, because oftentimes, as we all know, it's not necessarily what you know, is who you know, and what tables you're sitting at to make those collaborations. So that was one of the things that really, said, women don't know that this is a fit. We can, not take over. I won't say take over, because I've also found that going to bid, you have to bid when you're bidding on things. I've often found myself, and I like to dress up. So first couple of times I go out to a big contract, I'm in my nice suit, my nice shoes, dressed to impress.
To the
And
tees,
guys
huh?
are in the jeans and the t-shirts and the sweatshirts. And I walk in looking like like, what are you here to, talk about the bids? No, I'm here bidding. And when I would walk up to them and kind of give my business question, say, oh, who are you working for? No, it's my company. And they're looking, but you're not supposed to be dressed like this in this kind of environment. So I quickly learned that you have to really learn the language of construction. And it's not only the way they're dressing when they're bidding to take you serious, but it's a hardcore, even the language they speak. And that was one of the, like I said, I started talking to other larger construction companies, and they said, you got to have a hard shell. When you're around construction workers, they talk harsh, and you got to know how to handle it. You got to know you're not taking it, personal. And so there's certain things that I think we have to know going into the industry about construction. You don't take it personal. But on the other side of that is certain things that these larger companies also need to learn as to how do you talk to people. That it may have been acceptable years ago to just talk down to people or say what you want to say, how you want to say it, and it was okay. But part of what I want to do in my company too is to also teach or reteach the construction workers who've been here for a long time is how to talk to people. And every man and woman wants to be spoken to in sense of respect. And that's not what you always find in construction. So that's another area that I'm going to be tapping into. And there's been some really great interest in that, teaching both sides. Like I say, you can get a job in construction as a laborer. You go in and it's oftentimes you're calling a cousin, a brother, or, someone within the family, somebody coming from outside trying to get into that industry is kind of difficult. So I want my company to be the intersection. So before you fire someone, not like the union, but before you fire someone that comes from my training, you come through me first, and then we will try to make sure they stay in the construction industry or correct any errors on both sides.
Yeah, but you are so right. My brother and two of my really close friends are in different unions. My brother's in the plumbers union. My other buddy, one of my best friend, does the mill work. And my other buddy comes and they put all the stuff outside. They do all the construction outside. But each of them makes really good money. They got stability. One of my buddies, when he knows a job is going to end in 2 weeks, he's got the right to start shopping around because he's protected by the union, so he can choose what job sites he wants to go to. There's just so many different benefits. I sit down with them and show them how to max out their 401ks to where, because your body getting beat up. So you got a limited time. You may not be able to build homes as long as Benny can sell homes, which means you need to maximize putting your money up during that time frame. So we've had those conversations, but you were so right. People think sometimes that, oh, you've got to go to school and do this. If that's not your path, there's ways to go to trade schools and in your 20s, start working, as you said, an apprentice, and you work your way up to a journeyman. Next thing you know, you're the foreman, and you running your own thing, and you controlling stuff, which is where all my brother and my friends are at right now, is controlling things because they've done it for the last 15, 20 years. So it's but I love what you're doing, because not only have you started your own business to create those opportunities yourself, not only for yourself, for your community, in your community, but you've taken it a step further in the sense that, because I remember you mentioned this to me a while ago, the educational component is starting that school. And I think that's key, because a lot of the times we can, what's the saying, Benny? Fish for me, eats for a day, but teach him how to fish and eats for a lifetime, right?
Right.
So what you're doing essentially is, through your particular educational system, job placement, although they have those things, yours is more minority based, making sure we get those opportunities. I think that's essential as a great bridge way to bridge that gap and ensure that we do find those different opportunities. And where did that idea come from? Because I think obviously it came from all of your brushing shoulders, and you go to all these different events, and you go to classes, you like Benny, where you're always learning how to network and build your brand. But I think that's a great idea, and I want to know where the idea stemmed from to kind of make it all in-house, one-stop shop, so to speak.
Well, part of it is from my HR experience. I have an HR background. I worked for the University of California, San Francisco for 25 years. So some of it is an HR background and knowing how things work, as far as, they hire temporary people to come in, they train them up, and then they eventually work inside of the organization for years to come. But with construction, the difference with construction is that our young men and women, first of all, it's almost like the Army. Once you get in and you come in as a laborer, the organization the construction company that you work for will send you to school for you to be an apprentice. They will give you a mentor as a journeyman to take you under their wings and teach you the ropes as you go. What I found is that our brothers and sisters are not getting the opportunity to be taken under wings. So they get in and they get frustrated and they leave. So maybe 1 out of 10 will go through the whole progression of becoming a successful, having a career in construction. And there are companies out there that provide labor to construction companies. But the reason why I wanted to vet and interview and talk to some construction companies and have them mentor me is because even though they get these people that come from different labor ready places like that to work in the construction, they have not trained them what they need to do once they get on the job. There's a behavior, there's a culture. So one of the things that I want to do within my development and training within my company is to let them know exactly what they need to do, how they need to perform, how they need to dress, what they need to be saying, what they need to look for. You know, there's a
Construction etiquette.
yeah, a construction etiquette. There you go, construction etiquette and how to succeed. But not only that, working with the person trying to get into the field, but also working with the construction companies and making myself to be the intersection between them firing somebody and someone walking off the job. Come through me. Let me work with the individuals. Don't just give them their walking papers because they do something wrong. You know, if they're late, they're supposed to get there at 6 o'clock, they get there at 6:05. They do it twice, they're off the job. So I want to like be there to work with the owners of these construction companies to also teach them, you know, some of the things that we learn in our business organizations, you know, how to work with people, how to deal with people, what's the proper protocol before you hire someone. Help us build a better community, because what do you think is going to happen to that young woman and one young man that come in and feel really good about working, car breakdown, they can't get to work. Okay, they make their best effort and late the next day. These things happen in the construction field. You're fired. They don't worry about it. You go back to the union hall, do whatever you got to do, but you're fired. You're not working here again. But imagine what that does to someone's spirit. I don't want to work in construction anymore. I'm not going to do it. It's not for me. So I'm trying to be the intersection between that experience and to work on both sides with our future generation, and teaching them how to get into construction field, and also work with these companies that have been here for centuries, for years. And right now they're open to it. They are really, the larger companies are open. They say, that's a great idea. I'd love to partner with you. I love, once you train, I'll hire your people. You know, not meaning my people as Black people, but the people that you train.
You people.
No,
We'll
yeah,
hire you people.
not your the people you train, because they need a team. One thing in construction is time is money. So if they got a good team, they go in there and they knock it out, they're on to the next job. And they want people that they can go to each job with and know what to expect from that team. So if you can train them to do what they need to do, and keep building, putting into that pipeline, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yes.
Very true. Very true. I want to, you spoke to the frustration that is involved with some of our youth, Black and brown, and specific to why they're not, or why the opportunity is not there for them to go through the training that's provided, and then moving up, and then after that training, obviously being able to move up in positions throughout construction. So what necessarily is that frustration that you're speaking to? Is it the systems involved with the hiring? Is it the fact that the scenario that you gave us, the example you gave us about, you know, being late a couple minutes and then you're fired? So are there some other layers involved with what's bringing on that frustration?
It's the language, it's those things, and it's very simple. It's not not that grand. It's simple tweaks, simple understanding of how the field works, relearning for those organizations who've been here forever, and then new learning for, you know, our young generation that's coming into the field. So in construction, for instance, first of all, in the past, or the way things are now, usually say Bob, he's a foreman at a construction company. He's going to bring his nephew's friend, his friends into the field as laborers. You only need a high school diploma to start. So Bob has his nephew and his nephew's friends come on board. Bob is going to be more sensitive to making sure his nephew and his nephew's friends get it. Learn, you know, maybe that's on the ride going back home or whatever it is. They need to borrow a car to get to work on time. They need to ride with Bob to make sure they get to work on time. It happens. Let's say Hakeem. Hakeem fortunately get a job on a construction site. You know, he's been working, going from construction site to construction site. Just let me in. My girlfriend's about to have a baby. You know, I really want to do something. I don't like college. I don't want to work. I'm not going to work at McDonald's, and I don't want to go to the streets and start working. So his heart is there. He really wants to do it, but he goes in, say he's 5 minutes late because of whatever. He's 5 minutes late. Bob is not as sensitive towards the reason why Hakeem was late. It's like the cussing starts, don't effing be late again, else you're gonna be effing out of here. And if you really wanted a job, you get your shit together. That kind of, you're talked to in that way. Hakeem, he's not used to being talked to that way by any other man. Say, forget this, I'm going, I'm not working here anymore. I don't, I'm not doing it. And that's been that simple kind of communication. It was where things break for our Black and brown individuals who's trying to get into the field. It's not that grand. Or they get in and they're on their phone. When you're on a construction site, one of the biggest things too is workers' comp. So if you get hurt on a construction site or something like that happens, the company is liable. So if they see you're on your phone or they have a job going and you've done what Bob told you to do over here, you finished that, and Bob didn't tell you to do anything else. So now you think it's okay to be on your phone. No, you need to be following Bob around to figure out what is the next thing Bob is going to be wanting. You need to get in Bob's mind and figure out, how does this all work? So once we leave the third floor, we're going up to the fourth floor. Oh, do I need to start taking your tools up to the fourth floor? It's like a go-getter mentality that you have to have in the construction field. And just because they're not asking you to do something, don't mean you shouldn't be doing something at all times. Right, so it's simple tweaks. It's not big things, but it's like a change of mindset that you have to have going into the work environment of a construction site. And like I said, it's twofold. It's not only the new generation coming in, but it's also the seniors has already been there and changing their mindset so they can be a little bit more sensitive that you have a rookie coming on board. You want him to be successful. So you're going to speak to him as a man or speak to her as a woman, as you would want to be spoken to.
Yeah.
That's the kind of things I'm going to be building my curriculum around and working with companies, because the reason you don't have, they say, well, we can't find labor. Well, why? If you was an organization that people wanted to come and work for, you would have labor. So.
Yeah. And you know what is similar to, I was watching, there's a podcast called I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall, ex-wide receiver, Fred Taylor, ex-running back, Chad Ochocinco's on it. And recently they were on another podcast and Fred Taylor was addressing how when certain other ethnicities, like we're talking about sports now, but it kind of translates to other professions as well, because the demographics start to become the same. Right. So he was like, when they become into the league, it's sort of what you said. Their uncles are doctors, their uncles are lawyers, their uncles are life insurance agents, their cousins are investment specialists. So when they get into the NFL, their surroundings give them certain tutelage on, you know what, your career only gonna last in the NFL an average of 3 years. Let's put this money in some real estate. Let's get you some life insurance. Let's get you some investments. Like, he's literally using these terms. And he started mentioning the difference between whole life and term and the importance of getting low interest rates on a home and starting your own business. And these conversations typically, though, for a kid coming from the inner city making it to the NFL, doesn't happen. Right. You usually got your friends talking about, hey, buy me a chain, give me a house, give me a car, it's a completely different conversation. So it's similar to what you said is when Tom Arnold gets the job that his dad worked at and his uncle before him and his brother has worked at and his cousin has worked at, and they ride together to work and they ride home from work, he's getting certain tutelage. Hey, man, did you set that 401k up and get the benefits for your wife and kids? Make sure you keep your head down, and in 6 months, we're going to advance you here. And you do this, and they tell him all the appropriate steps. Whereas, like you said, Hakeem or Tyrone from the inner city, who's catching BART into the city and navigating on his own, who doesn't have anybody telling him anything about how to maximize his career because his body's going to get beat up within his next 15 years. And you might want to put some money into the retirement vehicle. So call HR, find out what you got going on. Know about the union in the earliest time you can move up, whether it's 6 months, a year. Nobody's here telling him those types of things, which is, once again, the reason Benny and I started this show. It's the reason why you became a president of the Chamber of Commerce, to let people know, hey, these resources are available to you. You actually have someone who's in the particular industry that you're in that can give you the lingo, that can give you, as Benny said, the etiquette on how to maneuver your way through this, not only industry, but through your career in this industry to get to where you want to get to. So I think it's essential. It's the same thing with Benny and what he does. When you come into real estate, you may have somebody, if I'm Peggy Sue and my mom, my auntie, my sister, my brother, everybody's in real estate, they're going to see to it. They're going to give me cut-ins on certain deals, certain percentages. You just do this paperwork, yada, yada, yada. But when Benny Bell, who's the first Black person in his family to get involved in real estate, I'm not saying that's you, Benny. I'm just saying you don't have that same support system saying, Benny, you just sold a home. We don't know when you're going to sell that next home. You got to pay taxes from this. You may have to put something up for some bills. You may have to do this. Don't just go spending all your money because you made 30K on a sale. Save some money. You may not have somebody telling you that, which means to know, if I'm in this particular field in the industry, that Elise Chief has this particular setup for me, this particular resource, and she's politically involved. She's involved with larger companies. She's involved when it comes to the construction field. She's involved when it comes to some of these different things that are being brought to pass and to bills and things of that nature, legislation. I think it's an awesome idea. I just want to take a step back really quick. When you came from HR 25 years, how did this, in 2014, leaving HR, how did it come to construction in commercial and all of that before we jump back to the platform that you're setting up with the resource? Because it's a vast jump, but a lot of people are trying to find that next stage, that motivation and inspiration, and what they want to do is drastically different than what they're doing now. And it may seem impossible because what they're doing is so drastically different. I want to know, what will your mind frame, your process transitioning from one to the other?
I think for me, I came out the womb with the entrepreneurial mindset. I always have,
Boss baby.
I've always thought about, working. Because I always like to have things, like to have money. So I knew I had to work to do that, but to get some of the things that I wanted out of life. But I also quickly learned that sometimes doing that in a society in which we lived in, I was not going to achieve, there's always going to be this glass ceiling for myself. So I kind of always understood that I had to have a hustle. So my hustle in high school was braiding hair. Then I might go get a job at a clothes store, but I'd go to the job, go to school, but I'd still braid hair. I became very good at braiding hair to where I started getting so many clients that I couldn't even handle it. So it started dwelling on me that I can control the braiding hair money. So if I wanted to braid hair, I can braid hair. If I didn't want to braid hair, I didn't have to braid hair, but I always had to go to that job because I was going to lose that job. And I didn't have control of how much I got paid or when I got paid. So I think from going from working as an HR background, I had worked very hard throughout my career to climb in an organization where primarily white men from throughout the country would come to UCSF, and I would work with them. But I worked my way up very hard, late nights, early mornings, very, very challenging, but it was very rewarding because I was able to grow in that company. However, I always said it's not something working there was not something that I would go to sleep thinking, oh, I'm so happy I'm doing this, and wake up happy and joyful about doing it. It was like I had to do it. It's something that I had to do. And it got back in my mindset when I was younger in school, like I can control braiding hair, but I can't control going to that job. So I'm OCD. I like cleaning. I like building. I like putting things together. So I started thinking, like I said, when I first started, it was like custodial cleaning. That's how I first started getting into just a business on a large scale industry. And then went from cleaning to maybe fixing stuff around the house. And said, that's kind of easy. Let me tear that wall out and fix that. And then it just kind of grew from there to, how do I open my own company, cleaning and building? And then it kind of morphed its way from there. So when I go to sleep, I'm thinking about not only what can I build, like I told the story earlier, it's one of the things is when you're building and throughout the county, you see buildings, your grandkids, you get old, you can't build nowhere, you can drive them down. Say, I helped build that Kaiser building over there. Or you see that block of homes, I was a part of building those homes. And so going from there to here is like, that is a good, and it just being in the community, I said, that is something that is, very rewarding for me, but how can I pay it forward? How can I, from my experience, my knowledge, grab back into the community and let some folks know that it's very simple. College is not for everybody. They used to have the trades in school where you'd have people who would come right from high school and go right into the trades. There was a break somewhere. So it's like going back into the community now and reminding them how rewarding it could be, how fun it could be, the pride you could take after building things. So now that's my little space here is getting them connected, not only our community, but these construction companies and opening the doors and opening with understanding so that they can successfully go through the pipeline and become successful construction workers.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. I want to put this in layman's terms. I want to make it real simple, real quick. I know we got a little bit of time. So that scenario you gave earlier when you were in the class and you were holding your grandchild and you were letting everybody know that you were in construction and you had all these bright eyes and excitement when the young ladies, when they raising their hand and they're asking like, you're in construction? Like
the guys were too. The guys were like, what?
Right. So I'm sure the question came about, and this is what I want to ask is, how do you obtain your contractor's license? What are the steps from A to Z with getting involved in construction as a laborer? Because that sounds like that's the first entry level position, to being someone in a position like you, having their own business, being a contractor, general contractor, excuse me. And what do those steps look like?
So there's two paths you can take, and I'll tell you both. One is you study. You get work in construction for a very long time, and you take a study just like you would take in real estate, and you get your contractor's license with the California State Licensing Board. Takes maybe 10, 15 years because you have to have a certain amount of hours in construction, and you have to be in the field for a certain amount of time. And then you're able to take your test, and you have a certain amount of times that you can go through and take that test. That's one way, traditional. So there's another way. You can become a responsible managing officer for a current construction company, for someone who's been in business for over 35 years in construction. So basically what that is you're jumping on their license and running their company. So with that, you hold that as a responsible managing officer and prove that you're able to run a construction company for a certain amount of years. Then you send that information to the California State Licensing Board and you get your own contractor's license. So it feeds off. So there's two paths, and that's another thing that, like you say, when you have your uncles and your family who's been in, they can tell you how to do it, where a lot of us go the traditional way, and it's gonna take me 20 years. But no, it doesn't have to take you 20 years to do it. There's other ways to go about doing it. Because people are amazed, like when I go and they say, you have a general contractor's license? I have a general contractor's license, electrical license, and fire protection.
Well, first, at least they think you're 21 when you're saying that you have a general contractor's license.
Yeah, I know.
So that's the big thing right there. They got to get over the fact like, wait a minute, you're 21 and you got a general contractor's license.
She says she worked 25 years at UC. I'm like, so
right.
Somebody, You know, it's like you just put your kids as an authorized user on your credit card. So they're 1 year old and they get your credit. Like, so somebody put you as an authorized employee at UC and you got credit history because there's no way you worked there for 25 years when you're only 25 years old. I mean, what are you fooling here?
Another funny story, my daughter, who's she's 31 now, and she's 4'10", might weigh a $115, but she became a project manager for one of the large construction companies out in San Jose. And you know, she would always, prissy little girl, but when you see her go out, she'd have her boots, her hat. And so I was fortunate enough to go out on and she loved it. I mean, the guys love her. She loved working there. So I have went out, just take her out for lunch or whatever, meet her on a construction site, and they start talk. I mean, and she's slanging just as much dirt as they slang, and then she became like one of the guys. And it's just so fun. I mean, it's just so funny just seeing her in that environment. I mean, and they absolutely love her. They loved her because it's like she's a thick skin, and she had, little as she is, thick skin,
right,
and can talk their language and don't take it personal. And it's a joke for them. It's not really, when you get to know the culture, it's not personal. It can be personal if you take it personal. I mean, because you put something wrong, they bark, why the heck you put that? You should have known it. And you got to know how to handle that. Don't take it personal. You're not ready to fight for something like that. You're like, oh, you just talk back to them. You hold your ground and you talk back and do. But
work it out.
Yeah, you work it out. Yeah, but it's a little rough. It's like a fight. Khalil talked about he's seen a fight yesterday. You know, they buddies. They going in, but one of us got to win. One of us got, so they're talking like that to each other. But I mean, I think if more of our youth knew really what the field was, because it's very rewarding. I mean, it's a nice field to be in. It's very nice field.
That option, real quick, Khalil, I want to ask that Khalil. That at least that second option you gave with coming in and working for a company. What other educational foundations should someone have before going that option?
Just some experience, like as a laborer, maybe a journeyman, working with the company, so they see. So this particular one that I have got in, we did some commercial buildings together. We did some residential where he would come in and like we would do the work and he would come in and supervise and check it after it's all done. So we did that for many years, like about maybe 3 years. And then it just dawned on me, well, why are we working under him? We could have our own. And then I started researching what are ways that you can do that. And in California Licensing Board, they have, these are a few ways that you can get your license. And one was a responsible managing officer for another construction company.
Very nice.
And that means,
so somebody could find that information.
You're being supervised.
Right.
It's like on the job, you have your license and you're learning. Mm-hmm. So you're being supervised as you go.
Very nice. Cool. So somebody could take the initiative and go ahead and go on the California, what you said, the California Laborers?
California State Licensing Board.
Got it.
And you just type in and say how to get a contractor's license.
Nice. You know what I'm taking
from
this whole thing?
It'll talk about the test. Mm-hmm. It'll talk about the test and then it'll tell you other ways.
Okay.
Very nice.
But you have to have someone. It's not as, I'm making it seem like you have to have someone that really trusts you, because if you don't perform under their license, they could lose their license. Mm-hmm. So there's an offset to that too. So everybody's not just out there jumping and ready to, okay, you can work under my license until you've proven yourself to have your own license, because if you do something while you're working under their license, they're lose liable. Their license. Yeah. So it's not something that everybody's jumping in to do. Yeah.
Well, the biggest takeaway I have from this thing is honestly, it goes along with what Benny and I always say, each one teach one, out of one comes many. I believe that because you mentioned it a couple of different times, paying it forward, making sure that you educate others about different opportunities, different options that they have. So that's one thing, is we got to understand that there are resources out there. We just got to put ourselves in a position to humble ourselves, make ourselves vulnerable enough to go look for those resources. But
Right.
the ultimate goal is you want to create some type of legacy, and you want to do it generationally. And the easiest way to do that is through business ownership, honestly. But a lot of people still have trepidation and apprehension about being business owners, which is understandable. I don't ever tell somebody, stop your 9 to 5 to chase a business owner dream that may not be something that you want to do. But we still provide you with resources to understand ways to attain financial independence, to still maintain passing down generational legacies that can have systems put in place for people to keep rinsing, washing, repeating after that. So if owning the construction company is not your thing, we just laid out a blueprint on how you can still get established in this particular industry, make some really good money. I know a buddy of mine who started doing it 19 years old. He's 42, 43 years old. This guy owns 2 homes, a boat, a RV. His kids, he had kids at 19, so his kids are all grown. He got his kids now in the elevators union just like him. He's making 90, $100 an hour. You know what I mean? Like doing really, really well for himself. And at this point, he just show up to the sites, look over some stuff and get out of there. He's done all the labor already. So he at the point now where he riding off into the sunset for the next 18, 19 years with a fat pension. And he's sitting down with somebody like Benny and myself to show him how to then turn that into generational wealth through real estate, through investments, through his 401k, through his life insurance policies to leave things to his children, all these different things. So the point though is, have these conversations, get involved, have these conversations, go to your local chamber of commerce. You don't have to be a business owner to benefit from joining your local chamber of commerce. You can just have a business dream to go in and figure that out and have somebody like Elise walk you through the steps on getting with the SBDC, who can then help you see that to a further step. But you gotta initially have the conversation. You know what I mean? You gotta humble yourself, make yourself vulnerable enough to realize, all right, there's a people out there called the Global Empowerment Team, and I think they got like 30 shows, which means they're not going nowhere. Let me check out the resources they put together to see if they've got somebody who's been involved in the police department, the fire department, politics, writing legislation, chamber of commerce, business owners, doctors, lawyers, people in education, entertainers. We've had it all. Whatever your flavor and your taste is at impacting and changing the world, we've got people who we can then put you in touch with to see that to fruition and to the next step. Each one teach one, out of one comes many, iron sharpens iron. By the way, that's all 3 new sweatshirts of merch that we have coming out.
Segue.
Right? Each one teach one, out of one come many, iron sharpens iron. Y'all gonna love the design on all 3.
Holla at your boy.
We got some merch coming though. But seriously though, Elise is here in Solano County. Whether it's on the construction, the business owner stuff, the political things, because I'm talking to her about some business expansion out here. She is a resource that is highly attainable and accessible to help you achieve your level of success that you're looking for. We got people out here that are making moves that are impactful. Please reach out to us. Reach out to them. I think Elise changed her name from Elise Cheek to Elise Sugar on Facebook. So if you're looking for her, she's sweet like sugar. But yeah, that's how you're going to find her. If you can't find that cheek lady, it's the sugar lady now, all right? But she's there. Contact the Chamber of Commerce, the Solano County Black Chamber of Commerce. She's there. She's involved. Contact her through her business. She's there. She's involved. And anybody involved in real estate, especially if you're a Black business real estate agent and you care anything about your economic growth within your community, if you know you buying people, you're selling homes, you're buying homes, and there are certain construction needs that they not, maybe you're like, you know what, let me just try some things out. It's not too big. You got to call Elise. Reach out to her. This is a woman who's running our local chamber of commerce. She has integrity. She has work ethic. Reach out to her. See what she's going to be doing for your business to take it to the next level. And let's continue to spread that by word of mouth and continue to let her business thrive and grow as she continues to let our dreams thrive and grow out here locally in the Bay Area. So Elise, I appreciate you for coming on. I'll let you and Benny have the last words, but please hit our thumbs up, hit our like, hit our subscribe, hit us for this merch that's coming out. Please contact us. We'll give you the prices on hats, t-shirts, hoodies, more merch to come with stickers and all kind of stuff. But we appreciate you guys for taking this short journey with us thus far. We got a lot more road to cover moving forward. And Elise, I appreciate you for being a passenger on this road with us today. But Benny, I'll let you guys take it out from here.
Elise, did you have any? I'm
Yeah,
giving the floor to
just wanna
Elise. I
add-
think
I just
Khalil
wanna
wrapped
add
it up.
just a little nugget for anybody right now who is a business owner. And I know as part of being a entrepreneur and a business owner, we do everything ourselves. But there are resources out there, and I'm going to name one right now, workforce development. Do you know if you are a business right now and need to hire someone to work in your business? Only thing you have to do is send them a job description and let them know that you're willing to train somebody to do what it is that you do. You send them a job description, they will send you somebody, or even if you have somebody in mind, if it's so unique, they can't find a person, but you have a person in mind that you would be willing to train. You send them the job description, they will pay up to 75% of their salary. I say it again for the people in the back.
Wow.
Did you get?
Say it again. Say it again.
Say it again. If you are a business, so myself, I'm a construction company going into training and development. So I reached out to the workforce development here in Solano County. I said, I'm looking for an administrative assistant, and because I'm growing, I'm looking for an administrative assistant, and I need another project manager. They said, send me the job descriptions. Are you willing to train someone? I said, absolutely. They said, send me the job descriptions. We'll look who we have in our pipeline, who we can send to you. They send me resumes. I interview them. I wasn't happy with those. It wasn't a good fit. So I said, I know somebody who I would like to train to do the work I need them to do. So I sent them that resume. They hired her, or I hired her, and we worked through the workforce development. They paid up to 50 to 75% of their salary for 3 months. So where you're running around, you work late nights, you're working, trying to get information out to, make your business more professional. There are ways out here that you can use the resources that are available to us in Solano County right here to make that happen. You do that. And as things happen, as things come through the pipeline, it's time to apply for the PPP, right? Payroll protection plan. Now you got employees, right? That you can qualify those employees on your PPP. You might just hire somebody to keep all of your accounting work and all of that, and your payroll, your accounting, your emails, all of that. You might need somebody just to do those things for you. But they become an employee. So now when the PPP rolls down the pipeline, you got employees, or you need to hire more employees to qualify, to build or grow your business. But I think if we as a people do not take advantage, and I mean advantage to where you're here and take it all the way up here to the next level of your company, to the next level of your business, you're gonna miss a great opportunity. I mean, absolutely great opportunity. Everybody should be working together, sharing resources, and these resources that are out here, they work. One thing the chamber offers is that we will have workforce development directors, small business administration directors on a Zoom call with you, telling you exactly how to complete these applications, exactly what you need to know, exactly where to send the information to. So if you don't take advantage of it, it's on you. I mean, I think Khalil said the saying, you can teach somebody, you can feed somebody some fish, but teach them
Mhm.
how to fish, they'll know. So they
They'll
go
eat
and
for
tell their
life.
family, hey, this actually worked.
Yep.
This actually worked. I'm actually
Right.
doing it. Let me show you how to do this.
So the
So
resources
I
that you
always,
mentioned, as far as the Zoom videos, is that something that's up and running right now, or is that something that
oh, we did it.
you
We
guys
did
would
it a
set
couple
up
months
for individual
back.
companies?
Yeah, we did
Okay.
it a couple of months back. Every time there's a new PPP, like right now there's a PPP, and we're going to be having some folk having them on again. But every time there's a new PPP, we ask them if they will come on and kind of explain to the chamber members how to access the funds, what they need to do to complete the applications, and they're not that complicated at all. It's like the first time, some of our business, we didn't have our 940s. We might not have had our payroll information together, our
Mhm.
um, income tax information, but that was our learning experience when
Right.
you missed it. Second time it came, okay, it came, but you didn't quite get it and didn't put the information in. This is the third round under new governmental administration.
Mhm.
We got to get it. We gotta make sure we learning and staying in touch with how to grow our companies. I'm good. It's good to have a job or go to a 9 to 5, but I'm always agree on having a second hustle, because that hustle becomes really your legacy, and your kids see that legacy. They build off that legacy, and that's how you grow.
Thank you so much for that. At least that was a boulder right before the end of the show. So that was very valuable. So we want to make sure that, Khalil did provide your contact information. He provided you all with ways to reach out to Elise and reach out to the different organizations that can help you out. So make sure that you do take the initiative to do that, to be vulnerable enough to put your hands up and ask the questions that you need to ask to put you in the positions that you need to be in. The information is out there, and that's what we'll continue to do is bring guests on and have topics around pertinent information, valuable information to help you create your legacy and create your generational wealth for you and your family. So thank you again for stopping by. This is the Global Empowerment Team. We'll be back at you next Thursday with another valuable guest. And you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Stay blessed. Everybody take care.
Thank you.